welcome to the STEM Sofa. We are here doing an amazing interview in one of the most beautiful museums in the world, the Victoria and Albert Museum.
We love the V&A. It's one of our favourite museums for the range of courses they put on, the huge variety of exhibitions they put on, fashion, design, art, history, culture. They cover everything. It's an amazing place to study, it's an amazing place to visit, so we're very lucky to be here today. Anyway, we're here to interview Kati Price, Head of Digital Media at the V&A, and we can't wait. Let's go.
Hello Kati, welcome to the STEM Sofa.
I'm Kati Price, I'm Head of Digital Media and Publishing at the Victoria and Albert Museum.
What does your role involve on a day-to-day basis?
I look after a large team of 20 people. We look after content, technology and design. So we look after all the content the V&A produces across its digital platforms and in print. We look after all the technology that makes that content come to life online. And we also make sure that that is packaged up into well-designed experiences.
Could you tell us a little bit about the jobs that you did previously?
I've been working at the V&A for about 4 years now, and before that I worked at the Design Council, the UK's national body for design, where I took on a number of roles from content to marketing manager and then ultimately head of digital there. And before that worked in numerous roles in the design industry, working in design retail and in design charities as well.
Thanks Kati. Now for the real questions.
Thank you so much for joining us. We wanted to talk about your role at the V&A, and I was just particularly interested, are there any big projects? What are the big projects coming up this year? Can you tell us at all?
Yes, I can. For the last 2 years, we've been focusing on a really big programme of refreshing our website and all our digital estate. So we relaunched the website, we've relaunched particular products that sit within it, like our online shop, and What's On, which is our events and listing service. So we're continuing that rollout. We're going to look at a big area of the website called Search the Collections, which allows researchers to explore through our 2.3 million objects. And that's, at the moment, it's a brilliant service for researchers, but we want to see how we can help open it up to more people who perhaps don't know what they're looking for, so they can discover all the incredible things in our big collection.
Oh, that's amazing. What really excites you about working here?
It's actually the variety. It's the big juicy stuff, and it's the small detail as well, and no days are ever the same. We've got so much to do. There's all kinds of things that we can do, things we have to do, and we've got this great exhibition programme that we help service, and that sort of helps plan ahead what we do. So we've got all kinds of exciting things coming up in the pipeline for the exhibition programme, but it's always a mixture of the small detailed stuff, the small detailed stuff and the big things.
How do you feel that technology has kind of changed how you are exposed as a V&A with those exhibitions?
Technology's got a massive role to play in everything a museum does, and that can be all the front-facing stuff like the exhibitions you see, the permanent collections, you can walk through those galleries, but also it's about the behind-the-scenes stuff, about how you make things more efficient, how you run a ticketing service, how you sell products online. So there's a huge scope for what digital technologies can do, and we're always looking to see how new technologies can help open up what we do here in new and creative ways.
So let's talk a bit about your background and how you got to be doing this ridiculously amazing job. You studied geography and anthropology at university, and then went on to do a master's in history of design.
Right.
What made you choose those subjects, and what made you decide to do a master's once you'd finished your first degree? So
I was always toying with the idea of two different directions to explore. One was going down the practitioner route and going into study art and design as a practitioner and doing a foundation course. And on the other side, I was really interested in anthropology and in social geography, and thinking about going into perhaps international development and taking up more sort of an anthropological career. And I couldn't quite decide, but I decided that ultimately I might be able to explore the sort of practitioner route later on in my life, but I really wanted to do geography and anthropology and really study the humanities. So that's what I did for 3 years, and I did a joint honours, and I think I've always kept my studying and learning really broad. So I like doing a joint honours, and I think that also that I guess my desire to keep things broad meant I ended up in doing a Masters of Design, History of Design rather, and that was at the Royal College of Art, so it was a chance to be amongst practitioners, if not actually one of them, and it was a course run between the Victoria and Albert Museum and the Royal College of Art, so I was lucky to study with these very collections as part of my History of Design course. And having studied at the Royal College of Art, that opens up lots of doors in terms of the sorts of opportunities of working in the design industry and in the cultural sector. And that's where I realised, as I did my MA, that that's really where I wanted to be based. And so I've worked within the design industry or the cultural sector ever since.
So it was during your Masters that you sort of decided what your career path or focus was going to be. Something a lot of people come out of university and they're like, do I which avenue do I take? I don't know. I love a lot of things, but it doesn't mean I want to do that forever. Did you feel like at the end of your first degree you're a bit unsure what to do?
Absolutely.
So a Masters seemed like an appropriate fit? Is that sort of your understanding?
It's interesting hearing you play it back to me, saying I decided on my career path when I did my MA. It didn't feel as conscious as that, if I'm honest. I think it felt like I was definitely at the end of my undergraduate degree. I still felt I hadn't quite decided what I wanted to do. I was fortunate to be able to do an MA, and I knew that I was interested still in studying sort of humanities, but it was really design that I was particularly interested in, and this was a really interesting entry point to study the history of design from the Renaissance, the surroundings here, to the present day. And I'm particularly interested in contemporary design and the power of design to change our world, but also interested in the historical as well. And so I think I've always managed to work within the design industry in a way that sort of straddles various passions.
Into one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Early on in your career, or perhaps at university, do you remember anybody giving you one piece of advice that's really stuck with you or helped you at all? And if so, who gave it to you?
I feel terrible. I don't actually have some bon mot that I can share with you. I don't think I can't recall any particular piece of advice, but I think I have that sense that I guess my parents instilled in me that things will always work out. And I think if you can understand what your passions are and be able to sharpen and refine your skills, if you're lucky and with a lot of hard graft, you can bring your passion and your skills together.
Would you say flexibility is quite important in terms of the industry that you're in terms of the range of projects that you deal with here? You have to adapt quite quickly. Would you say that was quite one of the skills that's quite important to get into the job that you're in now?
Yeah, flexibility is, I think, vital in any job, let's face it. I think when I was younger, I guess because I've always been quite a generalist, and I used to do a bit of self-punishment, I guess, about the fact that I hadn't specialised into something. I couldn't say I'm a this or a that. But I think it's probably precisely because I'm a generalist I'm doing what I'm doing now, because I can work flexibly across a number of areas. It is a positive. I'm not an expert in any of them, I'd say, but I am
pretty good at all.
Sure, very good at all.
Good grasp of lots of things.
We wanted to know if there was, during school or university and your masters, any particular resources that you used to help you progress, help you, like you said, reevaluate what you might want to do, whether it was books, anything online that may help. There may not have been anything.
When I was at university, it was the early days of the internet, so I'm quite old, so I think any resources I had then wouldn't necessarily be relevant now. But there is one that is always relevant, and that's people. I think people are possibly your best link into any sort of avenue you want to explore, and I think just talking to people and really understanding what the realities are like of any particular job or field you're interested in. And people have different perspectives, you know, they'll have their own different takes on things, and I think it's important to try and speak to as many people as you can. And I remember when I was at college, people talking about networking, and I was thinking, God, this sounds like a horrible, terrible thing to do, and I don't know how to do it. But actually it's something that happens naturally.
It's
and
not
now,
just force.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a forced thing with people standing in a room with drinks. There can be a bit of that.
Okay, well, just as final quickfire questions that we ask all of our guests.
Yeah.
If you could give your 15-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
It would be to not feel constrained by some of the choices you feel like you're having to make. All will come good in the end.
Perfect. wish I had that.
I know.
Okay, what other job do you think you'd be doing if you weren't doing this job? Or you hadn't done the jobs you've done previously?
I would be doing one of two things. I'd either have my own shoe company, or I would
Amazing.
or I'd be working out in the field doing international development, somewhere exotic and exciting.
Amazing. Okay, what gets you through your most tough work days?
I'm so lucky I work here, so if things get really tough, I can just leave my desk and I can walk through these galleries and just absorb it all and realise that whatever your problems, they're actually quite small and insignificant in the scheme of things.
Yeah, your office is pretty
Pretty good, right?
Okay, and lastly, what are your goals or aspirations for the future? Anything you like?
I would just love to be good at what I do, known for what I'm doing, and help get more people connected with amazing culture up here.
Amazing.
Thank
you
you
so much
so
for talking to
much.
us.
No worries.
It's been brilliant and been
So
to sign
insightful
here.
as well.
No worries. Thanks for coming.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to look us up on social media. See you back here for episode 2, coming soon.